Hey boys and girls, how are you guys doing today? Well, UFC 323 is quickly approaching, so that means it is time for the fight prediction. And I'm going to go with the flyweight title co-main event between champion Alexandre Pantoja, hunting his 5th title defense, and the rising star Joshua Van. But please guys, first I need you to like the video, share it. I really need you to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget, down below you tell me what you think about this fight. And check out the description box. The link is there for the Facebook page where during fight week you can maybe be entered into the raffle to maybe win a prize if you so choose. Personally, I hope you choose. Okay, so let's get into this. If we have to be honest, and we do have to be honest, Joshua Van's boxing, if I needed to use an adjective to describe it, is beautiful. It really is. Slick counters, especially, and it's a little bit odd, but he's a better counter striker between the black line and the fence than out in the open. Has a solid jab. He's fairly a high volume striker. I mean, he's not tip top of the high volume guys, but he throws a decent amount of volume. But if we're going to nitpick, he just doesn't have anything close to serious power. And I get it, in the lighter divisions that's hard to find, but it's something that would be helpful if he could somehow get some power. Okay, he is becoming more patient with his striking, which will help him moving forward. And his takedown defense, I mean, look, his takedown defense early on was crap. It really was. But it is improving. And here's something you have to remember about Joshua Van. He's been fighting for less than 6 years. As a matter of fact, it's closer to like 5 years he's been fighting. So the learning curve he is still in the middle of, and it's going to be really, really a big curve once he gets his feet really solidly under him. You're going to call me crazy. You really are. But there's something about Joshua Van that just reminds me of a young Max Holloway. Now, am I saying Joshua Van is a BMF? No. Am I saying Joshua Van is a future Hall of Famer? No. Both of those very well might be possible. But there's just something in his skill set that reminds me of a young Max Blessed Holloway. Anyways, he showed good IQ fighting Brandon Royval on short notice. Although that turned into be more of a kickboxing fight than an MMA fight. Now, Alexandre Pantoja is going to pressure him all the way to the fence and then drag him down. He is. Now, I don't know if Joshua Van will be able to get him off, especially if Pantoja's in full mount. I think he might have a little bit of success getting back up if Pantoja's in side control. That's just a hunch on my part. Pantoja has a fair kicking game, which is something that Joshua Van still hasn't been checking on a consistent level. And because Alexandre Pantoja has a full arsenal, that's a lot for Joshua Van to think about. If he becomes too tentative, like I said, he's becoming patient, but if he becomes too tentative, that just makes Alexandre Pantoja's chain wrestling and his Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that much more dangerous. Pantoja's chin is still solid. He will eat a couple of strikes to land his own and to get his hands on you. And again, Van doesn't have that pure dynamite power. So I don't see Pantoja getting wobbled or hurt. Now, yeah, I get it. Any punch, any given moment can wobble you if you hit the target perfectly. I get that. I just don't see Van putting Pantoja in any serious harm. But that being said, Pantoja can come in a little bit reckless at times. He did that with Figgy. Now, yeah, was able to handle Figgy. He handled Brandon Moreno. He pieced apart Kai France. He was able to handle Brandon Royval. So Alexandre Pantoja, look, I'm not comparing him to Demetrius Johnson, but one more sweet, decisive victory, and Alexandre Pantoja will have to be considered top 5 UFC flyweight all time. And personally, I think right now he might be just outside, maybe like tied at 6 or 7 with Ian McCall. That's just my personal opinion on the fact. But another key victory, and he's on the short list of top 125ers in UFC history. It's just, and I get it, he's not flashy, he's not exciting. You know, he's almost closer to watching paint dry. But that's my opinion as far as Pantoja all time is concerned. Now look, Joshua Van's only 24, okay? And he is on a 5-fight winning streak, so he's on a little bit of a roll, okay? Can he beat Pantoja? Sure, absolutely. Now, out of those 5 straight wins he's coming in on, 4 of them are unanimous decision victories. So at least he's getting the cage time. He's seeing different looks. His 2 losses come against high-level wrestlers, and Pantoja is just on another level from those 2. And Pantoja's never been finished in his career. 20 finishes in his 30 victories. Now, strikers do tend to have moments with Pantoja. Can Van? Again, I keep going around in circles on this. He can, but it's the lack of power that is going to be key in this fight. Look, Joshua Van may very well be a future champion, and honestly, I think he will be. Okay, he's on the short list of somebody that will hold the 125 strap. However, at this point in time, for UFC 323, I think Pantoja is just too much for him to handle. I think he will get Joshua Van to overcommit on the striking, which opens up some takedowns for Pantoja. I think he's going to be able to chain wrestle, scramble, get to his back, and lock in a rear naked. You know what? I'm going to change that. I'm going to go with the triangle. I think he's going to put him into a triangle And whoever's reffing is going to have to jump in and I don't know if Van's going to tap. I think Van might go night-night. Honestly. I think he has that much of a dog in him. You know, young, hungry, always looking for a way. And those are all good characteristics to have. But again, at this point, I think it is Alexandre Pantoja. 3rd round submission. Triangle choke. Now, you have to remember something. Just one other thing you have to remember. Alexandre Pantoja is 35 years old. And we've talked about this in the past. This is especially for the lighter divisions. That is the magic number age where champions have a hard time holding on to their belts. So even though I'm predicting that Alexandre Pantoja holds on to the strap this time for his 5th defense, I think he might get one more for a 6th defense and then take an L. Again, it's that magic number time where champs can't. It's just, you know, the young eats the old, as they say. But again, the UFC 323 fight prediction. Alexandre Pantoja, 3rd round submission, arm triangle. So please, guys, like the video, share it, hit that subscribe button. Down below, you tell me what you think about this fight. And in the description box is a link to the Facebook page. Check it out. And on Fight Week, enter the raffle, and maybe you could win a prize. And until the next video, Cyclone saying, peace out, everybody. Bye.